And welcome back, guys. It is Trekyards Mission Briefing time, your weekly Wednesday dose of all things Star Trek ship. It's a first review, it's a look at, it's a dissection, it's an analysis, a ship that might only appear on screen for 10 seconds, and we spend 25 minutes breaking it apart. We have a lot of fun and learn a lot of new things. But Stuart, today's a special episode. Why, how, and who?
Well, it is a special episode because it was one of our Indiegogo supporters for the Mission America 2 trip we did, Alan Glaspie, who requested the Hirogen Hunter today. So that's what we're going to be looking at today on the Fleet Yards Mission Briefing. And look at that, he's got a model of it.
And
I don't.
And I will say, this is the thing I love about Eagle Moss the most. The ships you never ever thought you'd have a good model of. How cool is that?
That is a cool ship.
So this is a Voyager ship, and it's obviously the real model, and it's great to see some new renders for the first time in HD. I'm sure, in terms of apart from Eagle Moss. Now, Stuart, do you remember the Hirogen and your first reaction to their appearance, and what are your thoughts about the ship design?
I really like them because I'm a huge fan of Predator, and that's essentially what they are—the Predator of the Star Trek franchise. Yes. So I really enjoyed their whole culture and everything about them. I thought was really cool and very interesting. We did learn quite a bit about them, but I'd like to see more. Obviously, I usually want to see more, but I think their ships are really cool designs. I think they're a very interesting look, and it doesn't necessarily say Star Trek, but at the same time it does. It could fit well into a bunch of different universes, I think.
Oh, like what? Out of interest.
It looks like an Imperial ship of some sort from Star Wars. Just the front bit, I think, looks very much imperialistic.
Interesting.
Kind of like the front of a Star Destroyer.
Okay.
So, I think it would fit into a lot of different franchises, but I think it's a great looking ship, and I absolutely love it. So.
And I just did a little bit of double research. It first appeared in season 4, so this is when CGI was what they were doing, so that's why we have a good model of it. Season 4, episode 15, episode Hunters, and the first time it appears is in this great little flyby of it chasing after a Species 8472 ship. I've always to start a show, go after those guys. That's some confidence right there. They'll hunt everybody. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I like the Hirogen a lot. I thought they were... you could kind of say a refined version of the Klingons, and more, more moderate, more temperate. But I love the armor, I love the makeup. I thought it was, if they were the Kazon, season 1. Okay, yes, it would have been too Klingon-y, but if they had been the initial villains, and you can imagine they would chase Voyager, for years because they're nomads. That could have been really, really interesting, and I wish they'd certainly done that. So I really love them as a species. I love their designs. Their bridge is really interesting. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And this design really stood out to me. I think it's... The thing about saying, is it like Trek or not? It's a design. It could fit in anything, but as a design itself, I really like it. I like the odd shapes, the 3D nature, the prongs being different sizes.
Yeah.
I think together it's a very, very strong ship, and I really wish this model, we could see a 2017 full refresh, because I really like this ship, but it's one of the few designs I think I want to see a modern take. There's a lot of really great little things. I do wish we'd seen it more, but Memory Alpha says 8 appearances, I believe, bar the first one, which was just their message in a bottle just with their makeup. So quite a few appearances.
Now, was this the only Hirogen ship we ever saw?
Ooh, no, Stuart, no. Oh, but you said Voyager's your most watched one because it's always on your Space Channel, and you don't even.
It's the most on the TV, unfortunately. Well, it used to be. Now they play all the series, different one every day, which is nice. But yeah.
You don't remember. Now, the Hirogen actually are the most fully featured race in terms of ships and tech that we got to see in Voyager, except obviously the Borg. We got this Primo ship, we got the little sort of small Survey Scout holo ship, we got the bigger, only appeared in 4 shots, massive Dreadnought, we got the space station, and we got a pod. So, actually, a lot of different appearances. I think the most of any one race in all of Voyager.
We're going to have to do a Hirogen Fleet episode talking about their ship designs.
We will, and believe me, that's been on the cards for a while. But yes, I really like the ship. But Stuart, I just rewatched the clip where we first see it, and you really know the sense of scale there. But what do you think the scale is based on this design? And obviously compare it to, say, Voyager, because that's the ship at the time, or even the Equinox, which is obviously the smaller Voyager. How does it compare, do you think?
As far as as far as being compared to Voyager, I think it would just be a little bit shorter than Voyager. I mean, maybe roughly the same size based on, I mean, there's no real windows visible, but I'm looking at the nacelles and stuff and kind of comparing them to the Voyager nacelles, assuming they'd be roughly the same size. So I'm saying maybe a little shorter than Voyager, based on... Well, I guess there is a window at the front there.
Yeah, I mean, they've got...
Which makes it look a little bit smaller, actually.
Yeah, they've got command modules.
Yeah.
Which are obviously windows and rooms. It's not a big ship, and it really blew me away how small it is. And actually, there are shots in the show that... I mean, this is we always say this is the default CG scale. When you load the ship, this is the default. It's actually not a big ship. You go to the next picture, Stuart. That's how big she is.
Oh, wow.
She's actually teeny.
I did not expect that.
Yeah, and it's amazing. You don't see her that often with Voyager, but when you do, it's like, oh, small. But yeah, she is not big. I mean, the runabout there is a completely relatable scale.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you could walk the length of that very, very quickly. Yeah,
well, interestingly enough, when I did see the window, I thought, oh, it must be much smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. No, I didn't expect that at all. I expected it to be, almost the size of Voyager.
Now, does that give you more or less respect for them as a race because they, reasonably feared whatever, and yet such a small ship? What do you think?
I'd say more because, it's like Predator again. They come like in small little ships to a planet, and there's only like a few of them on board, and then one of them goes out and does the hunt and, proves himself, kind of thing. So, yeah, they're fierce and tough and scrappy little guys.
Yeah, yeah, and we know these are pretty comparable to Voyager. I think it was like two of them against Voyager was a pretty even / killing match. Yeah. We know Voyager was better than most things in the Delta Quadrant, so it's probably one of the stronger races, and for such a small ship. But if you look at the crew size, I mean, I think you're right. I think this is like a small family of hunters or a small clan or a small group. This is I mean,
bunch of drinking buddies out.
Yeah, yeah. It's the minivan of the hunting world. It's like, all right, we'll just grab our guns and go out to the wild.
Sure.
Yeah. But you know how big the shuttle bay in Voyager is, and just to really compare it, I mean, it's not. I mean, it might be taller, like it might have a lot of depth to it, but yeah, this is a small, maneuverable, and yet powerful ship. But we do sort of get that sense when it's going after A472, it's a comparable size, like in the same size bracket, and A472 is a really small ship, so yeah. And considering the set size we see later on is so big, that means we are seeing like a huge chunk of the space of the ship,
Yeah.
But Stuart, the side picture, for even more clarification, and again compared to the runabout, that is teeny. That's why I always try and put like a runabout in, because you can see exactly how big things are.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, this is one of those interesting ships. It doesn't really change scale perspective when you see it from the side. A lot of ships do, just because they're so tall or they got a neck or whatever. This one's just very stout and bulky, which I like.
Yeah, I really like that side profile.
Yeah. So it's not even as big as this Voyager secondary hull, really, which is interesting. It's like nacelle sized. I mean, wow. That's pretty impressive.
I mean, it's probably 2 decks, 3 decks, if you look at the runabout size.
Yeah.
And because deck size, I bet it's 2 decks along, and then you've got little control bits, and yeah, this is I wouldn't say cramped, certainly, but this is not a large crew, and yet, yeah.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised by the size, so that's why I love this show. I love learning new stuff about stuff I thought I knew stuff about, because I don't know stuff.
And it's obviously there's these online scale charts where most of them are inaccurate in many ways, because they just take a memory beta post from a book and they've just invented off the top of their head. I mean, it's all invented, but the CG was done in a certain way to represent certain scales, and it was built in certain ways. So it's nice to just be able to put them back together and do a new render and say, well, this is how it was. It did not relying on numbers, or not relying on whatever. It's just I'm not even measuring anything, because you can see it, it's visual, and it's the raw size.
Wow. All right, next picture. This is a shot of it from behind. I love the detailing on the back of this thing. The back of the nacelles, how they're kind of like cone shaped.
Yeah.
they're much like an F-14's engines at the back when it's not in afterburner mode. When they're closed, that's how they look, which is neat. Now I'm wondering why there's the same detail in the middle, though. Same as the nacelles. It's kind of an odd choice. I don't think. Is there an engine back there? Do you think? Do you think that's the sublight engine, or?
My gut would be that there's clearly nozzles at the end of each of the wing tip. I would assume they are all the impulse drives, and the bubble of warp is created with the front of the the warp drive, because obviously they want speed. So why wouldn't you integrate impulse into the warp engines? Yeah.
Wow. The thing that gets me though is there's no windows on this ship really, except for the command module at the front.
And yet it doesn't need them. I don't think it's missing. It was just a Norval special, and I really felt it was missing. But I feel like this is, knowing how small it is, you understand. I bet you, almost all of this back bit is just technology, and only this bit is livable space. So you wouldn't need.
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Now, looking at this picture, do you think this doesn't fit into like the Battlestar Galactica fleet? I think this would fit in very well into that ragtag fleet.
Yes, I think you'd. Some tweaks, obviously, shape wise. I think if you made if you made this shape a bit less of a dramatic pinch in, so it's more Galactica front. Yes, perfect. But you're right, this is more Star Destroyer-y.
And change the nacelles into launch pods.
Ooh.
And put a big engine on the back.
Can you imagine with 2 small launch pods at the top? Oh, I want to kit bash that now so bad. That's brilliant. Oh, I like that. Now, should I tease something? Yeah, we'll see it really later on. There's one cool thing about having these things in real life. There's one detail I never ever noticed. If you look at the front, there's actually these connecting points at the front. So actually has double wings, which I never noticed.
Wow, that is neat.
Yeah. I think my favourite thing about this ship, though, is that from the front, from the side, it looks so unbelievably armoured. But then you go to the back, and it's just literally the warp drives in armour. Like, I love that as a concept. It's like it changes the shape when you really understand it's the organic, curvy circles in the middle, and then it's all just covered in this plating that really gives this big chunky detail, but it's super functional. I really like how that's been done. Yeah. But the next picture is a bottom shot, and actually a lot of detail on this bottom, and it's worth mentioning this and all the Hirogen ships were done 3D modelled by Brandon McDougall, who we've done a lot of shows on recently, who did the Prometheus, who did Relativity, who did the Devore warship, big modeler of Voyager and a little bit of Enterprise, and of course designed by Rick Sternbach. So great team again for this, and I really like this bottom view. And can you see the familiar Brandon McDougall front pod little dome thing that he puts in most of his designs apparently?
Yeah. Now, is that like a shuttle pod launch control room thing we've talked about before?
Nah.
Where is the shuttle bay on this thing?
I doubt it has any shuttles. I feel like there would be.
I can't see the Hirogen not having shuttles, though. I mean, they'd want to be able to shuttle down to a planet or something, not necessarily beam down.
Well, we see him only beam primarily, but I can imagine. I mean, they probably didn't want to go too close to Predator, but I would more imagine single man pods, because if they're coming into orbit, a prey is right there. They don't want to run to a shuttle bay, turn a shuttle on, start launching. Whereas if they just get themselves into a pod, it launches down, boom, they're on the planet. I can imagine they'd want the momentum of getting to the prey quickly. So maybe actual launch single man pods. I mean, if you look at those front, behind the thing at the front, what if they are, what's that, 18 pods at launch? Drop pods.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, those are the perfect kind of detailing for that, yeah. Absolutely.
And then you just beam up the pod and the person when you're done. Easy.
Huh. Never thought about that.
Why would you? Because you never see the ship for more than a few seconds.
Very good.
But I really like this view. Again, it really shows off the different shapes of the internal and the external, and there's lovely little details at the bottom, and then some more we'll talk about later. Yeah, it's nice.
Well, speaking of later, let's go to the next picture. And this
It's a fun view. I thought I'd just make.
This is like the front's right against the camera.
Yes. Yes.
And makes it look way different. Definitely. Yeah, like
doesn't go any further. Hit the camera.
Yeah. So those I assume are weapons at the front, some kind of cannons of some sort. Yeah.
Must be.
Just an odd shot.
Exactly. It looks like the Daedalus from Stargate a little bit, doesn't it? With the two side pods.
Yeah.
But if you know, very teeny detail, but there's little like emitter grills on either side just sticking out.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so small in stand definition, you wouldn't be able to see them. They wouldn't be high enough res. But hey, cool. I buy it, whatever it is.
Yeah. Cool. Next picture is a shot of the nacelles. Now these I like the detailing on. They kind of got the orange Bizarre collector front, but instead of blue glowy bits along the chiller grills, they got red, which is nice. I also like the shielding on the outside. Perfect if your shields go down, you still got armor, I guess, protecting your nacelles. Well, from some angles anyway. But yeah, it's almost like a Federation, the inside of a Federation nacelle, just exposed with no housing around the whole thing. So it's a very interesting design take. So
yeah, I really, like I said, my favorite part of the design is its engines. And one thing to note, we'll talk about a little bit later as well, but if you look to the left-hand side, you've got a little pod there with guns on the top.
Yeah, looks like a turret, yeah.
Yeah, full-on guns. And almost a Weyland-Yutani symbol at the bottom of it.
Yep.
That's red. Yeah.
Nice.
And the next picture is the top two pods. Now, Now these pods are very familiar but different, and they have two integrated. Now, obviously, a lot of the stuff is reshaped and shrunk, same parts of the model, and you can sort of tell that they're trying to be stylistically the same thing. But whereas these ones are obviously a single engine, these are actually two that have been shrunk and put into the armor to form functionally very similar, but actually quite different. What do you think about these pods and what they might be and do and whatnot?
Judging by the emitters on the front, I would say there's some kind of weapons pods. Maybe they have big power plants at the side there, which are very much like the nacelles to power them. So like very powerful cannons. One thing that strikes me about these, though, is they look very, very similar to the Dominion battleship. Same part, same kind of shape.
That's interesting.
So I don't know which came first, the Hirogen or the Dominion. But I think it was probably the...
Yeah.
You think?
Yes. Yeah, because they were staggered. So for season 4 of Voyager, we're like season 5 of DS9, aren't we?
Okay, yeah.
And Dominion were 4 to 5 or 3 to 4 to 5. So I think we've seen at least one of them by now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. So I assume there's some kind of huge cannon with a power generation, with their own power generation units there.
Yeah, I see it, and we talked about this earlier. The fact that it's got 4 or 5 nozzles, I see these as secondary warp nacelles. With those two, rather than having these one long warp and warp nacelle, they have two smaller sets, two smaller pairs.
Maybe the smaller ones get them up to like warp 4, and then the other ones take over.
Yeah,
and shut those ones down.
Yeah. I mean, you can imagine that these guys are hunting. We know they're nomads. I mean, warp is the most important thing if you're gonna survive out in space. So why? And to be honest, Stuart, why couldn't one of those pods? I mean, they've got line of sight with each other.
Yeah.
Why couldn't one pod, teeny one, create a warp field for the entire ship?
They probably could. Yeah, exactly.
So redundancy, and I really like that. But the next picture is again the aft view, and it just shows some of the great detail. Definitely nozzles. It defies the other shapes. A lot of these other shapes are very flat, very angled, and here we have some very organics. But I like it. I like the different feel. It's like it's a power plant of robust. We need this other shape because this is our engine, this is our fuel, this is our pushing forward. So I quite like that design.
Yeah, and I do like the attachment points on the bottom. They're very unique and almost not needed, but they're put there for a reason. So
they just set it off though. They just add that little bit of extra 3Dness. Like it's not as flat. It's flat, but then you got this bit, you got these. But like if you took these away, it'd be boring. But it's a really nicely balanced ship, I think.
Yeah, it definitely is.
I really like the ship. But the next picture is an under view, and this, again, great view of the engines, but also you can see 2 more turrets just sort of nestled in. So you got 1 up here, and then 2 down here. So
nice.
basically in parallel, but it means actually if you look around the ship, if you're in one of these pods, you've got a complete 360 view.
Yeah.
So in terms of, visual looking for prey, I mean, you've got... And guns. I mean, obviously you can shoot at them from any direction.
Yeah, cool. Really good firing arcs on those because they're 360-degree turrets by the looks of it. So, and even they could probably tip straight down or like up, whatever you're facing. So, yeah, I think that's a great idea. It's much like a modern-day battleship kind of configuration, which is neat.
They're probably disruptors, like simple pulse disruptor things. Cool.
Yeah. And let's go to the next picture. This is a close-up of the front section again. And here we see those front nozzles again, which look like the front of phaser rifles. Same kind of detailing, so I assume that's what they are, just some kind of phaser weapon.
And I just wanted this picture because I thought it was a really good angle. Like the bridge module, again, it's a nice shape.
Yeah.
Again, with all different levels and different command modules. You got that front little bridge detail, maybe you got the little back bit, and you got the dome on top. It's really nice shape, I think.
Yeah.
And it is quite aggressive. This is it's aggressive, but I think it has some elegance to it as well. Again, I'm a big fan of this ship, so I think it has a swoopy elegance.
Yeah. But one of the things I like best about the Hirogen is their interior decorating. So let's go to the next shot. I assume this is the bridge of the Hirogen ship.
Yes. And if we go to the next picture, we can see a live view to correspond. That's what it looks like. But if we jump back to the more detailed view, X Scientifica, always a great site. Always love their things. Yeah, so this was something that really said something to you then, the interior.
Yeah, again, it takes me back to the Predator thing, displaying their trophies. They got their weapons. They got netting with bones and skulls hanging up. I love when they redid Janeway's Ready Room. I forget the episode where they took over the holodecks and they had the Nazi simulation going. I love how at the beginning of that conversation he was standing behind the desk. By the end of the conversation, she was back behind her desk, and everything was like taken care of. I thought it was fantastic. But the way they redecorated, I thought was cool, and again, very reminiscent of the Predator. The Hirogen had to be inspired by the Predator, for sure.
Yeah, Predator meet Klingons meet. We're gonna just hunt and kill you. And I'm looking at a quick clip now, and I was fascinated by the control interface. It's just big orbs with things that you poke, prod, push in, pull out. What an odd interface. I mean, very, very original and unique. Very alien. Because this is a different race. It shouldn't have the same standards.
There you have it, guys. Our look at the Hirogen Hunter. So thank you, Alan Glaspie, for suggesting that and having us take a look at it. We appreciate all you guys and all the things you do, and we hope you enjoy what we do. So if you do, please hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Now, there are ways you can help us. One of which is to head on over to Patreon by clicking our Patreon link in the description below while he plays with his toys. And you can help us out on a monthly basis that way, or by heading over to Trekyards.com and clicking the donate button, as all that is very greatly appreciated, and helps us bring these shows to you on a regular basis. So,
all the stress. I wanted to ask you, what's your closing thought on this ship?
Well, I like it. I think I've said that all along. So that's my closing thought. I think it's cool.
Because I have a specific closing thought. This is one of my favorite Voyager ships of an alien race. I think pretty much hands down, at least top 3. I think it was definitely our top 10 alien ships we did. I just wanted to say, I really dig this ship, and I really like being able to, I can't wait to do the full episode because I'm excited to do some animations with it, and the full fleet. I really appreciate their use of, they kept building ships for this and stations, and Brandon did a great job, so I'm excited to see more with it. So yes, help support the show. Thank you for the Indiegogo help, and as always, you can help us on Patreon and Trekyards.com. I'm sure you already said that, but yes, help support, we can see more episodes with all the great ships, and tune in for the full Hirogen fleet look at soon, because they've got some even cooler stuff, believe me. So until next time, guys, he is Captain Foley.
And he is Commander Calkins. And we are, you can say it, Samuel.
We're Team Trekyards.
There you go. Yeah. All right. So until next time, guys, see ya.